man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
He's in the building. The champ is here.
Made it here.
You know what I'm saying?
Honored to be here.
He's in the building, y'all.
In the building. You already know.
Peace world, what's good? Wyking in the building, Africatown Media Network at the Black Dot Underground. Man, Jamal Crawford, brother, welcome.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Man, it's so much. I mean, man.
Yeah, right?
You've had a very accomplished, life to this point, and I know there's still a lot to go, but let's get into some. Let's just talk about, just this 20-year run. That is not easy at the highest level of, professional, basketball, man. Like, what, and I know that mindset probably started earlier. Like, what's the mental,
Yeah. It's to be honest with you, it sounds weird to even hear you say 20-year run. That's right, because the average NBA career is 4 years. If you're lucky enough, right, the 1% of the 1% make it. That's 4 years. If you play 10 years, that's like a long time. So I basically had 2 long careers in one, and it's been unbelievable. I kind of look at my career like a rap artist dropping albums, right? Like Jay's Reasonable Doubt was probably my Chicago Bulls years, So I kind of look at it like that. And his Black Album was probably my New York Knicks days. So I look at it like that in just different chapters. But it's been an unbelievable journey. It's been a dream, to be honest with you. I used to dream about this ever since I was a kid. And I used to think the coolest thing in the world was making it to this point. But now that I'm here, I think the coolest thing in the world is having the impact you could have, especially on kids in your community. That's like the best thing ever to me.
Man, and for us here, you're a man that needs no introduction, and I could have named off a lot more things. And just in that, you mentioned, Jay. You had a sneaker, you know what I'm saying?
Jay,
you what the Rock.
Yeah.
Man, so many awards. But I know there's also been, with anything, hills and valleys.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Can you, speak a little bit about, the journey and what that has been, like outside of what we see in the lights?
So my journey it's so crazy, and a lot of people don't know my whole story. From being ineligible the first 3 years of high school. So I didn't play organized basketball until my senior year. And that's when everybody kind of caught on like, oh, he can play, because I was just known on the streets as somebody I wasn't in the streets doing the wrong things, but I was running with the wrong crowd. So I was never eligible enough to get my grade point average enough to play, right? Or let alone go to college. Right. So my last 2 years, I really buckled down, take school way more serious, take my education way more serious, take basketball more serious. I started playing with NBA players when I was 16, 17, and they started telling me, you can make it. And for me, that's all I needed was that gas, like I can make it. I can make it to the highest level. I'm going to take school more serious. I'm going to take basketball more serious. And for me, a year before not even being eligible to the point where now I have scholarship offers from all over the country. I buckle down, get my SAT together, get my grades together, and I can go to any school I want to go to, and then from that, being in school for a year to go into the NBA. So everything happened so fast, right? It was almost like a movie or a dream. If I told you that kid that was 15 3 years ago was going to be in the NBA in 3 years, you look at me like, nah, there's no way. Like, You're not even going to class. How you going to make it? How you going to even get here? Yeah. But I just always had a strong belief in God. I always had a strong belief in myself, and I always had good people around me.
Yeah, you say that, and I remember, we met when I was coming out to Rainier Beach and doing men's groups programs, and that's how we met. And I do remember asking you, though, you was a senior at that time, like, do you think you can really, can you play at that level? And you was like, yeah, and then I was just like I was mentioning earlier, I remember when you came in with that first, ESPN special on the VHS and put it in the machine on in Smitty's office and was like, yo, watch this, Mm-hmm. And so, man, how, so you had that belief that that you got some feedback from people that was at that level.
Yeah.
But 20 years is a long time.
That's a long time.
You know what I'm saying?
I asked
so how do you you know, the psychology, one thing that I read somewhere and it always stuck with me, it says, you know, one of the keys to success is managing your own psychology.
Yeah.
Like how have you dealt with that? You know, coming from where, you know, from the background, getting to the, just all the change, because that's a lot of change.
That's a lot of change.
First generation?
First generation. So that's a lot of change, and it's a lot of mental challenges, right? And I've seen so many people who even make it to this level kind of fall by the wayside because mentally they weren't all the way, you know, in tune to what they're supposed to be doing. I'm not sure if it was discipline or commitment or just knowing, like for me, basketball was always my first love. So I never got sidetracked. Like I never was the one who was always out in the club. I was never the one who was partaking in other things that can tear up my body or doing things of that nature. And for me, I just stayed in that place. Any of my teammates over the last 20 years be like, we never see Maul. Once we hit the city, he's in the hotel room watching film, watching games, doing stretching, whatever it is. He was never outside the hotel. And they will all consistently tell you that. And at first, even the rift it caused me and my teammates, like, oh, you too good to hang with us? You can't, you know what I mean? Right? So there's so many different mental challenges. And for me, I was like, nah, the main thing is the main thing right now. And so for me, I mentally stayed in that place. And I don't think you could do anything for that long and that length of time if you don't love it, if you're not in love with it. And for me, I was always dreaming about this, and I never took that for granted. I never thought I was better than somebody else because I made it to a certain level, and I never was going to take for granted that it could last forever. I just wanted to last as long as it could because I love doing it. And the day I retire from the NBA, I'll still be playing at LA Fitness or, you know, somewhere near that because I've just always kept that the main thing.
Right, right. And, you know, so you got the challenges of just performing at this high level
at the highest
every day.
level. At the highest level.
20 years old?
Yeah, I went in 1920.
I'm going to assume the economics from before and after was two totally different worlds.
Oh, man.
What, you know, the pressures off the, you know, the things that people don't see, you know, like you said, being first generation, coming out of environment, you know, family, community, everyone, you know, everyone, you know, how you deal with that? What's that been like?
I had to learn through experience. So the hardest thing for me was to say no, right? Because you have all these people that you've known since you were growing up, and you want to help them, right? So the thing that's weird is people say you change when you reach a certain level or whatever. Most of the time, it's the people around you that change, right? So you could tell a person, 5 times, the 6th time, you're like, I can't do it. They're like, oh, see, you changed. And that used to bother me. I'm like, man, these people I grew up with, these are like sometimes family, right? And it bothered me because I'm like, is this like money's the root of all evil, right? So I'm like, man. So it went from that to I learned to say no, and I became happier because I'm like, no matter what, I can't make everybody happy. I can do what I think is right. I can try to help out, but I can't do this forever. It's not sustainable. There's no way you can do this forever. And I learned the hard way. My first year or two, I went through a lot of money because I never had that much money. And then you come in like, oh, I can get an Escalade. I can go help this person. I can go do this, right? So it goes from that to the growth of like, look, you got to prepare as if this is your only contract because tomorrow's not promised. Injuries happen, you know, and you got to make sure the future is set up. So after that first year, I really buckled down and learned the way I needed to go about things to make it to this point. So
did you have to, like, you know, really become, you know, a businessman in a sense in your own self as well?
You did, especially at an early age. That's a whole different mindset and a whole different set of challenges, right? So it never really stops because you kind of go from this place to that place. I remember Biggie had a song a long time ago, and he said, more money, more problems. And when you don't have that much money, like, what you mean more money, more problems? You get money, all your problems is gone. Well, not sometimes all other people's problems tend to become yours, right? And just different expectations. Yeah. And so the person who may be asking over here for just whatever amount, X amount, doesn't know there's 15 other people asking for that same amount, you know, and they're just thinking, oh, you got it, you can do this. They don't know how the business part works. So once I start realizing that and kind of taking the business part a lot more serious, things really took off for me on and off the court.
Yeah, I mean, they say you change when you get to a certain level, but sometimes you have to change to get to that level.
Yeah, you do.
You know,
you can't stay the same and expect things to, you know what I mean? Like, expect things to change. How do you grow? How do you evolve?
That's, you know, and if I'm the same person at, you know, 35 that I was at 15, that's probably
20 years.
Man.
You wasted 20 years.
So yeah, I know that's the thing that, you know, athletes coming out of our communities have to really deal with, you know. What, you know, do you think Seattle is you know, obviously become very special for basketball. Can you speak to that? And then, like, have things been put in place to help, coach some of the up and coming players about, the other aspects that come with it off the court? People come from different family situations and all of that.
For sure. So back then when I was coming out, it was just a big thing to go Division I. If you went Division I in basketball, that was like going to the NBA because it just wasn't as realistic, right? People thought Seattle was just a place way up in the corner of the country. They didn't have many great athletes. And even before me and before other people that actually made it pro, there was guys I could tell you were just as good who didn't make it, who was right there, on the street, some on the street, some in jail, some not alive anymore. So for me, when I was growing up, I thought about all that. I didn't want to go that route because I seen the talent. I'm like, okay, it takes more than just talent to make it. You got to have a certain grit about you. You have to have a certain mental toughness. You got to be able to handle coaching, handle different obstacles that are going to come at you because this isn't for the mentally weak. It's just not. So, for me, it was all about continuing to evolve, continuing to grow. And then the younger guys coming up, I always said I want to go back to my community and kind of give them my life experiences so they didn't touch it and say, oh, it's hot. Okay, I'm not going to do that, right? So I'm trying to give them the answer to the test before they actually take the test. Yeah. And you see so many guys now who are doing such great things. I have camps, and I talk about all this. I talk about all the same thing. I have leadership classes and things of that nature just to kind of prep guys off the court so what they're doing is sustainable and they can set up their future and hopefully their community's future in the right way instead of just saying, oh, I made it to the NBA and that's that.
Right. I 99, right?
Yeah, 99.
You and Jet went, right?
He was a year before me.
Did he go to?
Yeah. He was 90. So he was actually drafted 99. I was drafted 2000.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that kind of, we had Doug, before, but I think you two really opened up the floodgates. You know what I'm saying?
I would agree with that. Humbly agree with that.
The home team, that pipeline you're talking about, like a support network. It seemed like from that point it was always like coming back, giving back, reaching back to the next promising coming up. What do you think about how things are today?
I think they're in a good place. Yeah, I think they're in a good place because I think these guys have the OGs to kind of talk to, whether it's myself or Will or Brandon or Terrence or Nate or Aaron Brooks or Stuckey or Jed or Doug Christie. Like all these guys all look out for each other, and I think that's what makes our community a lot more unique and special than other communities in the NBA. When I was with the Bulls, I saw Tim Hardaway over here, I saw Mike Finley over here, I saw Antoine Walker over here, but it wasn't like they were all doing things together. Even a guy like Spencer Hawes or Martell Webster, if they have a bowling event, they could expect 10 of us to come support.
Right.
If I'm doing a pro-am, I know all of them are going to play in it. If DeJounte Murray's doing a backpack giveaway, we're going to all support. And I think that's the ecosystem, right? And each guy, right? I'm just throwing them out, right? Zach LaVine, Avery Bradley, it can keep going. Tone Roten.
So it's a real community.
It's a real community, and we all look out for each other. And with that, we all reach back, with the 8th grader coming up or the 6th grader coming up. And everybody's not going to make it to the NBA, but that doesn't mean you can't be successful. And because the things you have to make it to the NBA, the discipline, the commitment, the hard work, the drive, they'll help you in life, and so I think that's important.
Yeah, that was a good point. What do you think about, like, we see folks going pro, on the court, but there's still a lot of opportunities to be a professional around the court.
Sure.
How do you think that more of our community, potential athletes or even just others can be better exposed to those opportunities? Because it's a business, right?
It's definitely a business.
And be exposed to those opportunities.
Well, I think just being around. I think when you can go to, like, it depends on what you want to do. If you want to be the person behind the camera, right, there's opportunities at the University of Washington to go do stuff there with their school, whether it be sports and basketball, football, just to learn, right? If you want to be into computer science, there's internships you could take in Microsoft or stuff you want to do at Amazon. So there's so many different outlets for things you want to do and things that can kind of help guide you in that direction. It's so many things around the game that you may love, whether it's front office, whether it's legal. There's so many different things. We have a girl I went to school, her name is Mimi Hunter. She ended up being a lawyer. Now she's working down at Nike, being a lawyer on their legal team. So there's so many things. She played basketball at the time. So there's so many different things you can do around the game to be successful.
Right. And no matter what you do, you probably, even if you make it, you're gonna have more time still off the court
than on, right? Absolutely.
And how do you prepare for that?
For me, I've always given myself to kids, right? So I've always done not just the camps and not just things that people see just in the community, period. It could be something that I was talking to a kid, Avery Bradley, right? So he was 12 years old, and he's with a group of friends at the fair. And he was like, man, I never told you this. And he told me when he made it to the NBA. He was like, I never told you this. He was like, me and my group of friends were at the fair. We didn't have any money or anything. You gave each of us some money just so we could have a good time. He said, you saw some young black kids at the fair way out by themselves, and you gave each of us some money so we can go on rides and food. He said, I never forgot that. That inspired me, right? So those are things that aren't documented, but things that can help inspire and push kids and push people in the right direction. So for me, I'm in the community even more, and I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. I don't think you're special because you do it. To me, that's just how I was raised.
Yeah, sometimes people talk about, people blowing up and coming back. I mean, but you never left.
I never left.
You know what I mean? You always were, accessible. You always take a moment to talk to people, man. And I think, everyone really appreciates, that level of just humility and always being a man of the people. When I think about the home team, man, I feel like y'all got more influence and social power than probably the mayor. Like, if I went right now and asked, 10 kids in high school, who's the mayor, they probably couldn't tell me.
That could be true. And what's funny is you say that is, as the Mayor McGinn, when he was here, he used to ask me and ask us to actually partner and do events.
Yeah.
He's like, I need you for this be there, get there school event. So kids are getting to school on time. So I had to go in the schools and do a recording so they could hear my voice in the morning and different things when he was trying to get reelected and just different things. So I'm not saying that's true, but I don't think you're far off. I think
I'm just saying we as far as people knowing and rooting for and celebrating from the the whole faction that went through the UW and and that man, do you ever think about, or do y'all talk about, like, man, how the levels of impact that through the sports that could be had in the community? Obviously we got a lot of stuff we were just talking about going on in the neighborhoods right now.
No, absolutely, we do, and we have talked about it, and I think we'll continue to grow and make that evolve. And it's cool to see, because at first it was just a basketball thing, right? And then it took on a life of its own. We started doing some more stuff in the community, whether it be backpacks from here all the way to Tacoma, right, for kids that are fully stocked so the parents don't have to get anything, to the girls getting their nails done, to the boys getting haircuts, the little boys getting haircuts. So you know how it is when you go to school and you got a fresh haircut, you got all your school supplies, you feel like you're ready. You feel like you're hitting the ground running. You feel good about yourself, and that's half the battle. Like, I feel good. I'm going to show up to class on time. I'm going to participate. I'm going to be engaged. So we did all that. We've done turkey drives. We've done barbecues for the whole city every year at Green Lake. Then we've done coat drives. We've done just about everything. When Hurricane Harvey hit Houston, we loaded up 2 vans and buses and sent them across country fully stocked. So we've done so many different things, and I think we're still evolving about how we can really to help take the community to the next level as well. And I applaud you for what you're doing. Like, what you guys are doing is unbelievable. You don't know how proud I was to, like, read in the paper and see you with the mayor, and I'm like, man, we got one of us up there representing us who really, I know from 25 years ago, genuinely cares about this community, and to see you in that position and see you guys in that position is to be applauded.
Man, I appreciate that. Maybe I get my honorary home team jersey.
You got that. Don't even worry about that. You got that.
Man, and so I hear in terms of taking it to the next level, we've seen, like, maybe people like Magic, end up really doing probably more, on certain levels off the court
than he did on the court.
Than he ever,
for sure.
As far as the business side.
I can see that for us.
The politics now, you got, Kaepernick, right?
Yeah.
You have, LeBron, and a few others, doing schools and things. When you see some of those things, are you making notes and feeling like, man, that's a direction? What are your thoughts on?
You're definitely taking notes, right? So you look at the Magic Johnsons. He's probably the first person that I've seen that kind of took it to that level. And I think you see the Jay-Z's, right? You see the LeBrons, and I think you see guys start looking like, oh, okay, right? And it's not a competition. It's more so that's the way to go. That's what you're doing to help your community, because we all come from different communities and different, backgrounds. So when you could see that and you could have that effect in your community, I'm definitely taking notes. Like, that may be, this may be such and such I do in the future, because I see how they did it. I see how it's impacting young kids' lives, especially in our community. And I think that may be the way to go. So I'm definitely taking notes.
And when you see, the politics,
Yeah.
obviously you spent time at the Clippers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We, remember all of that. We see what, even before Kaepernick, it was Muhammad Abdul-Rauf, right?
Yeah.
Chris Jackson.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on, athletes, professional athletes with that platform, taking those type of stands on a political level as far as it relates to things that are going on in the society?
Yeah, I applaud it. I really do. I think Cap sacrificed his whole career, his career earnings, everything to take a stance on something bigger than him. But he truly believed in that. And you have to salute that. Like, I think, obviously for him personally, it's hurt his career, but it's woke a lot of people up. And I think we needed that. And you look at, like you said, Mahmoud, when the anthem was going on, right? And you look at even guys like Craig Hodges, like those guys took real stances, and it cost them, but they saw something in the greater good of people and their people in particular. And I think that's to be saluted on all levels.
They didn't have that social media at that time. So
not at all.
They just got shut.
It's totally different.
Shut down. Seemed like Cap's comeback game has been pretty strong, though.
It has.
That deal he did was.
With the Nike deal?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was serious.
Yeah.
And I mean, think about it. They still know, okay, he's not technically playing right now, but he has the voice of the people. So he's still, somebody
factor.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, man, this is good. Man, this conversation is good, and we're going to take a short break.
Okay.
And we're going to come back and, continue to talk about these key issues.
For sure. All right. Let's do it.
Peace, y'all. It's Wyking. Welcome back. We on the set with, a legend in the building today, Jamal Crawford, and we were, really talking about some important, issues, sharing insights from the journey, from the marathon, right? And we know it's continuing. But we were specifically talking about kind of business and community development and how, we see, we've seen like Magics and some people involved in that, but a lot of times people don't see some of the things that you may have been involved in. And I just thought it was important to maybe speak about some of those experiences, maybe even what you've learned, along the way with that.
Yeah, for me, I just thought it was really, really important because Magic Johnson is one of my favorite players ever, right? So, but it wasn't just about what he was doing on the court, it was off the court. He was always buttoned up, always had his stuff together, always had a vision. I was actually living in LA when the first Magic Theaters hit. Right, so I know how that impacted, how he took it to the community and how proud they were that one of us was putting something right there. It wasn't all the way out somewhere somebody had to go. It was right there in the community that they walked and lived in, and how important that was to our community. We had something positive to hold on to. And I never remember any violence happening in one of those theaters or anything like that, because they was like, it was ours. We all took ownership in that. I remember going to support that. Mm-hmm. And I would love to do the same things here. I've gotten involved with different things, but I'm definitely going to do some more things.
Okay.
And I'm definitely going to do stuff right in the community that we can hold a part of and feel like we all take ownership in that and be proud of.
That's good. What are your thoughts about, what we've been doing with Africatown around really striving to, maintain with all the gentrification, something not only that we can live here, but also have, businesses and
thrive
things of
here.
that nature.
I think it's important. And that's why I salute you guys, because we can't ever forget that. I know you joked about Rainier Beach being your second home, but my mom taught at Garfield. She went to Garfield and taught at Garfield, right? So this part especially, and I grew up more in the South End, but this part especially is like our history. It's like our culture. I always tease Will and B and them. I'm like, man, the Garfield basketball team like the Lakers. Like, y'all are the, the centerpiece of our community. So I get it, and it's so important that we never lose our history. And we have to show not only where our history was, but like you said, we could thrive here. This is a special, special place. And when people come from out of town, they have to come see the Central District. And we should want that, because this is our community. This is really what it's about. And what you're doing and what you guys are doing, it has to continue. It has to continue, because if not,
I'm just trying to get my home team.
We'll lose. You got that. You working on a home team chain right now. You got that.
And I think also just in the South End, there's still a lot more opportunity, because there's a lot more land still. But the wave is coming.
The wave is definitely
there's
coming.
Opportunity, and it might be more y'all in the South End than it is in the CD coming out of Beach, because y'all put your numbers up.
We do, but we like. And I'm just being all the way honest. Like, the Central District and Garfield has always been like they were like You know, they're up here. They were the
yeah.
bar that everybody was shooting for. And I mean, just not even just the sports side, from the Quincy Joneses, and you know what I mean? Like, so, and just people in general. Like, that's our history. People know Garfield. People know the Central District. And there's a lot of pride in that, and we can't ever let that die or lose that.
Man, that's real talk. You know, we just got our favorite 12 back for a couple, you know what I'm saying,
man.
games. You know, his last interview,
man.
right? What was your thoughts on that last, you know, Marshawn Lynch interview? He's like, man, I'd like to tell these Africans, you know, take care of your chicken and take care of your body.
Yeah, he put it like only he could.
Yeah.
Right? The way it cut through and reached through the masses is if he did it with his own way of doing it, and it was so fitting, and I was so happy to hear him say that. If that was his last game and his last interview, and me knowing him personally, like I'm a fan of people for what they do, their craft, whatever it might be, but I'm more of a fan of the people they are. And that's why I love him so much, because I love watching him play, but I love what he stands for more than anything and what he's about and his character. And to me, he's one of my favorite athletes ever for that alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Marshawn.
Shout out
you know
Marshawn. We may have to get him down here.
Man, that would be a wonderful
Yeah,
thing. Because,
yeah,
you know,
we
he's
have to.
buying up land in Oakland to fight gentrification.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Me and him have talked about that too.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Man, I have to talk about, you know, the man you have become, you know, as a family man. Because I think that's important. You know, people see the bright lights and, you know, a certain type of lifestyle with that.
Right.
You know.
Absolutely.
But you're a father, you became a father early. And, you know, talk about how, you know, how you've grown in that.
When I had my first child, Eric, I was 17, right? So I was technically a baby having a baby, right? So I had so much to learn, and it was tough because I was chasing my own dream at the time. I'm like, I got to establish myself so I can take care of him, right? So that was like the main focus, and I had him in summers or on, you know, winter breaks and all that, but it was still different than how it is now. I'm older, you know, I had my second set of kids at 30, you know what I mean? So now I'm established, I'm a grown man, and I know what it takes to be a father. But to be able to see both sides of that and see how I was present with Eric, but it was still a little bit different because there was a lot of separation time, and we had to work on our relationship. But to see that to how my kids are now, and they see me every single day, and I'm a part of their lives every day. And I didn't grow up with my dad. Like, I was separate. I was either with my mom or with my dad, right? So I know how important having that male figure is. And to be able to bridge both and see how far I've come in that area is I'm proud of that, because they have, I think, a solid role model and person right in their home they can look to and give good advice. And my wife, she's like the real MVP of the house, for real.
So I was gonna say, what's the value of you know, that just having a solid family unit, a family partner, you know, for a lot of us that didn't grow up and may not even knew how to function in that environment.
In that environment. And it was interesting because she grew up with just her dad, and I grew up with mainly my mom, right? So us together with our kids, it's like we're a full unit, and we both kind of clamor to that, and we both need that. And it's been unbelievable. And it was funny, Mac Main, him and Lil Wayne, he's always with him, but they texted me the night I got married. It was like, man, just keep leading. Like, what you're doing is to be saluted. Like, you're actually showing you can, you know, do this in the NBA and get married and grow that way as well. And that's why, on a side note, even that's why I think like Jay-Z's 444 was so important. Talking about black businesses, talking about the growth, talking about his family, talking about just educating people about so many different things, and that, being in that space, it was unbelievable to hear.
That's deep, man. You know, just breaking generational curses.
Yeah,
you know, right?
Yeah.
And we haven't had you know, particularly as black men, don't have a lot of spaces to really talk about, you know, those things, and you know, and the struggles that we may have with some of those things. You know,
right?
There's the Native American indigenous people have a thing about 7 generations, like thinking about the things you do today, what is the impact, you know, 7 generations down. And so, you know, it's amazing that in one generation things could be redirected.
Yeah. And I think now more so than ever, I think people are taking ownership for that. Nothing's impossible. I think before stuff was so far-fetched, sometimes it would kind of scare us as a people to go chase that, right? And then certain people were like, you know what, I'm going to chase that regardless. Like, I look at Tupac, I look at Nipsey Hussle like this. I think Nipsey Hussle did everything Tupac talked about doing. Setting up businesses in his community, giving back to his community, taking care of your people. Like all the stuff Tupac talked about, I think Nipsey kind of started to do and was going to really start doing, right? Going to a whole nother level with it. But Tupac kind of sparked that.
Right. He said that too, right? He said, I might not change the world,
but I will spark the brain who will change the world.
Yeah.
I guarantee you I will spark the brain. So it was amazing to see that. And it was just like all that for us, I think is inspiring for us. And I feel like nothing's too big.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I agree. And, I think if we could take other aspects, like for me, one of the things I think about just like when I was striving to do in community development, I look at like, man, with these guys, with you, with Nate, have done in that realm, what Rotary represents, you know what I'm saying, in Hoop, that's what we want to represent in community development. But back on the family and the fatherhood, your pops was a baller, right?
He played at University of Oregon. He played with Kevin Love's dad. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah, he hooped.
You have sons.
I have sons.
You clearly took the ball, you know what I'm saying, whether he put it in your hand or you picked it up on your own to another level. Speak about, your thoughts on just the pressure on the next generation. Do you put the ball in their hands? Do you let them find it for themselves, defining themselves outside of, like we got Jordan and his sons did, that's hard.
That's hard. So for me, my dad didn't put the ball in my hands. He put it in my hands, but he didn't really want me to chase that dream. And that caused friction in our relationship because I'm like, hold on. You chased your dream, how come I can't chase mine? But his thing was, no, chances are you may not make it, and I know the hurt you would have. So so his was and that it caused friction for us, but it caused heartache for him in chasing his dream. He didn't want me to experience that, and I didn't understand that when I was 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. But once I'm like 20, 21, I'm like, oh, this is what he was talking about. And our relationship got better. But it was times where I'm like, do you want me to play basketball? But he was like, no, I'm trying to tell you there's more to life than basketball. Right? He was telling me at then, I wasn't understanding it then. So for me with my sons, I kind of let them pick it up. But once you pick it up and you really want to do it, now we're going to work at it because I know a little bit of what I'm talking about. So at that point, I didn't put it on them, but since they've kind of went that way, I've kind of just helped guide them and gave them all the direction they possibly need. And they don't always listen, and they're not always supposed to. Sometimes you got to go through it and see, okay, Dad, this is what you were talking about.
For sure. As a father and a man who maintain a presence in community, we talked a little bit earlier about some of the crisis around the shootings that's happening right now,
for sure.
Particularly in the South End. What are your thoughts on, how we can, just what's going on and where we can find some solution and some peace?
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, I think it starts with a conversation. Right, so we have to kind of bridge that. It's amazing because sometimes a little problem can cause a big mess. If you can just,
social media.
Especially with social media, right? And it's like now social media could be used for good as well, but now it's like everybody wants attention, right? So the world's kind of starving for attention in some ways and starving to be famous and like I've wanted this forever, right? So a simple conversation I feel like can cure a lot of problems. Because the root of the problem sometimes like, oh, you stepped on my shoe. Oh, you ain't gonna embarrass me, you ain't gonna say sorry? Oh, we'll fight. Oh, we'll fight. I beat you up. Now it just escalates and keeps going and keeps going. So for me, I think you just have to have that conversation and that starts the bridge. And if you can get so far down the line, you're like, what are we fighting about again? You don't even know. You know what I mean? But lives are being affected by it. And that has to stop, especially in our community.
Yeah, and sometimes, some people have ability to create a place for the conversation, right?
Yeah.
So
I would love to have a forum or get some of these guys in there and talk about it and talk this out. You know what I mean? Like we saw when Nipsey passed, we saw Crips, Bloods, like a unity walk.
Right.
You know what I mean? And for however long there was no violence. There's been less violence in LA now than ever before. You know, and these are gangs that kill each other and go laugh. You know what I mean? So if we can get everybody that's having problems together, I think it can stop some of this.
Man, that's powerful, man. It sounds like you just put a call out to the community.
Yeah. You gonna do it with me?
Man, let's do it. Let's get the factors, and I'm definitely willing to put my part in, man.
For sure.
20 years,
Yeah.
awards, stats, sneakers.
Yeah.
You know, you still young though. I mean,
it's
old, but it's young,
yeah.
right?
It's old in the game, but it's young in life.
Right.
I've been in the NBA half my life.
Exactly. Have you begun to think about, you know, I mean, I know some of the things we talked about speak to a legacy, and you definitely, you know, but you still got so much
life to live. Right.
Do you have aspirations or things that, you know, that you've been thinking about, you know, life after
basketball's over? Yeah, I really want to like help people reach their dreams. Right. I saw a quote, and I have this up in my house. It's Denzel Washington. And he says, it's not about what you have or what you've done. It's about who you've helped, who you've brought along with you in this journey. And so for me, I think that's like my next step. Like, I think I've already been doing that, but I want to go another level with it.
Definitely have.
You know what I mean? When you have more time and energy to kind of place there, and I want to see more people reach their dreams and reach their goals, especially young people in our community. Like, I want to see them be the people that inspire the next generation. You know, and that's what's about. Yeah, exactly. And that's what, for me, that's what's
like
about.
We got the Jamal Crawford Success Academy or something.
Yeah,
you know
yeah. See, you put it in the air. Let's put it out there.
Man, that's good. So this is a part where we get into a section called Dropping Gems, and we try to get some tools out. Are there 3, you know, books that may have profoundly impacted you in the way you move in life?
Driven from Within by Michael Jordan book, the autobiography of Malcolm X, and right now I'm reading Jay-Z Made in America. Yeah, so those 3.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are there any blogs, podcasts, or anything like that that you listen to?
Well, first off, I listened to this one. And I had to reach out to you to ask if you if we're being honest, I had to reach out. I had to reach out like, you're not gonna have me on. Like I don't qualify to get on the show. But nah, this is definitely one that is up there for me. But all the rest of them, I just, you know, everything's on social media now, so you can pretty much stumble upon different things and different. But it's not like one I just go to. But I watched yours. I watched D Picks, and I watched Trey's. So I'm watching to see who's next.
Yeah. Who's next? You got, you know, we gotta get B Roy. You know, everybody.
Everybody.
You know? And we don't just focus on, you know, we deal with people doing development. You know, just doing anything in the community that's positive.
Right.
Living models or examples, or, you know, people who inspire you. You know, you kind of look at their footprints and provide some guidance on your path.
When I was young, it was like Michael Jordan, right? Because I was loving basketball and loved all his moves and everything. But the moves he was making. But I think for me now, it would be Jay-Z, Barack Obama, and Denzel Washington. I think those 3 are people I kind of look at as, you know, it was weird. If Gary Ladd was alive, I would say him, because he was like one of my heroes and a big mentor in the community, and somebody who I looked at like our community, Denzel Washington, always smooth, always cool, always dropping gems, always caring about it. Right, so
definitely a
shout out to
legendary.
Gary Ladd for sure. He's one of my heroes. But those other 3 that are alive for sure.
That's what's up, man. Well, this has been, you know, good. Any other thoughts that you would, you know, want to share with the people? Yeah,
I think we got to support each other. It's not about doing things for credit, but if we can inspire somebody to do something that's right and do something that's positive for the community. Look at you. I really, when I read that article, bro, I was so proud. I'm telling you, like, I was like, wow, like the judge is calling you out and smiling. I'm like, man, look how far he's come, and look how far this is getting pushed forward. Look how far you've come in just 5 years, right?
That's love, yeah. But
you've always had the vision and always had the drive and the commitment to it, even when things were like this, you know what I mean? And I think that's to be applauded. So it's not just me, the athlete, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's always, all of us got a role to play. And I think when we accept that and say, oh, we're all a team, we're all pulling the same direction, let's all help each other. I can help you do this, you can help him do that, he can help me do this. I think we're all stronger because of it, and our community stronger.
Man, that's a great, you know, a great wrap on a great session, you know. I learned things, you know. I appreciate you, you know, coming out, making time. hope it's not the last time.
No, I want part
You know what
two,
I'm
but I'm gonna let everybody else get theirs first, and I'll come back.
Yes, sir.
For
Yes,
sure.
sir.
Absolutely.
So y'all know what it is. Tap in, don't tap out. Peace.
Peace.